Tenzin Palmo, day one. Tukdum is the term used for when there's a warmth in the chest of a high-level practitioner when they've died, so that can last for days, hours, days, or weeks even. That warmth is there, and there's subtle levels of their consciousness still leaving the body. The body doesn't decay, doesn't smell, it doesn't get rigor mortis, it stays flexible, stays in an upright seated position. And once that heat's gone, then they've passed. She recommends knowing your consciousness while you are conscious. You don't know where you'll be next life or who you'll be. You won't even recognise who you were. If you looked at yourself in the future, you wouldn't know who you were. She said, don't be controlled by the surface mind. Always aim to go deeper. There's a wisdom, much wiser and more reliable wisdom in the deep mind as opposed to the surface mind. And we live in our mind all the time, despite where our body is, despite where we live, where we're travelling, who we're with. It's our mind that we're always with. And if that is the case, which it is, it's worthwhile spending time on transforming your mind, understanding your mind, and befriending your ego, befriending your mind, understanding. Increased inner space equals inner freedom, more choice, more awareness. Multitasking is highly inefficient. It massively increases stress. Neuroscience is saying that. And it keeps you on the surface as well. So the reasons why companies and corporations are using mindfulness to help train their employees is not to expand their consciousness, not enlighten it. It's to make them more productive, make them more creative, decrease their stress, and make them more efficient and effective. So it's a use of meditation training. Go deeper than the surface mind. When you go deep, things will come up. It's stuff that's already there anyway, so don't be afraid of it. Just learn from it as it's coming up and investigate. Our karma is our intention. Our patterns are incredibly boring, and our minds are very stale, she said. She recommended 3 times in an hour, look at what the mind is doing 3 times an hour. We're already swept up in the flow of the river. We need to step into the shore. Inside the train, the protective barrier, the outside looking out is changing. The inside is stable though, and observe the thinking mind. Shamatha settles the mind and orders the mind. It makes single point of focus and calms the mind. The problem is not the chatter, it's the identification with the chatter, being immersed in it, not being able to detach from the chatter. Is the identification of the labels and your identity. Develop a helpful mind. That's really useful. Develop a helpful mind. Be kind. Be nice to people. People who are generally being kind to others will be the ones being kind to themselves back. When you pull out the weeds, so looking at the defilements, all the things that need to be pulled out and changed and that sort of stuff, you also need to feed the flowers. So be kind to yourself. Be helping in the world while you're doing your work. Focus on yourself or your mind. When you're injured, what is this teaching me? So it's an opportunity to go in, to slow down, that sort of stuff. Feed yourself first, and then overflow that to others. But it must not stay there. So you're not just constantly feeding yourself all the time. It must flow into others. And the 4th line is the supreme oral instruction is to observe the mind at all times. That's why she's saying to observe it 3 times a day. And need to develop the ability to observe or witness the mind without being sucked up into it. That's really important. Over time, there becomes more moments of awareness and less time spent in the mental chatter.